In the 70s, when we had the fuel crunch, the price of gasoline and diesel fuel escalated to astronomical figures of the time. Even in the early 80s, fuel prices were suffering a residual effect stemming from the fuel crunch of the 70s. However, throughout the entire 1990s, the price of fuel became relatively cheap. And because of that, a lot of the mid-size SUVs grew to the larger sizes that you see today. In fact, a lot of the SUVs that are being introduced to the general public from the late 1990s and beyond were gargantuan. Vehicles like the Cadillac Escalade, the Ford Excursion, the Hummer H1, Hummer H2, Lincoln Navigator. And because the price of fuel was so cheap, it really didn't make a difference. However, after 2001, the price of fuel slowly started to escalate once again to the astronomical figures. And because of this, a lot of people seriously started to cut back on their spending, which ultimately hurt the economy. So what the government did was they issued Tax Code 179 as a stimulus package to help the economy, to encourage people to purchase new vehicles for work purposes. Vehicles for agricultural farming needs, construction, delivery of consumer goods, and in the form of shuttles and taxis. The stipulation was this: these had to be new vehicles that were financed, they had to be used at least 50% of the time, and they had to have at least a gross vehicle weight of 6,000 pounds or heavier. Do not confuse this with curb weight. Curb weight is the weight of the actual vehicle, whereas gross vehicle weight is the weight of the vehicle plus all cargo and persons that vehicle is designed to carry. And this is how it worked. People could take the price of the vehicle, write off $25,000, and they could take the existing depreciation of 10%, but the government also threw in an additional 20%. But the problem was the bill was extremely vaguely worded, which also meant that luxury SUVs could also apply to that bill. And people were flocking to get these SUVs because they saw, hey, I could write this SUV off and get it for practically next to nothing. And the people who are getting into these gargantuan vehicles were people that really didn't need these oversized SUVs. People that own businesses like architects, bank owners, dentists, doctors, lawyers, real estate agents were all getting into these gargantuan vehicles that were at least 30 to 40% bigger than what they wanted, because the vehicles that were under 6,000 pounds gross vehicle weight or less could not apply. The number of SUVs that unintentionally fit that bill was quite extensive. So what was the real plan behind Tax Code 179? Was that really designed to encourage business owners to purchase new vehicles to help the economy? Or is it nothing more than a piss-poor plan to encourage people to get into the largest, most inefficient vehicles? And the sad thing is, it's not like these SUVs needed to be subsidized. They're already selling in large numbers, but after the tax write-off, they're literally flying off the lots. The dealerships could not keep up with the demand. And the sad truth is, it costs the taxpayers a huge chunk of change. For every 100,000 SUVs was costing taxpayers nearly $1 billion. And when you factor in the overexplosion of SUVs, which ultimately helped to drop the CAFE standard, if that wasn't bad enough, then the high-geared, high-revving cars started showing up, which contributed to make the CAFE standard even worse. So again, what was the real purpose behind Tax Code 179? Was it really encouraged to help people buy vehicles? Or is it just a tool designed for more vehicles to suck more gasoline and diesel fuel to make more money to the oil companies, more money to the gas stations, more money to the government through fuel taxes, and more money towards the EPA because they're always bitching and crying about fuel economy, tailpipe emissions, global warming, and carbon taxes?